Now this screencast is looking at compound interest. Compound interest applies to situations where interest gained in the first year earns interest in the second year, and so on. So we gain interest on the interest. Now some of the terms we have to know: 20% PA is used in compound interest. That means per annum, or each year. So 20% PA means 20% interest paid each year. Now, there are two methods of calculating compound interest. The first method we know as the step-by-step calculation, and we'll look at an example of this method to start with. So let's look at this problem here. Calculate the total compound interest earned by £4,000 at 3% per annum over 3 years. So we put £4,000 in the bank and it pays 3% per annum. How much are we going to have, or how much interest will we have after 3 years? So the amount, £4,000, is called the principal. So we have a principal of £4,000. Now, what's the interest going to be in the first year? How do we calculate the interest in the first year? Well, this is straightforward. The interest in the first year is just 3% of £4,000. And to do that, the calculation, 3% is 3 over 100 times 4,000, and that equals £120. So in the first year, the interest is £120. So that means that the amount we have after the first year is, of course, just the 4,000 we started with plus the 120 interest. So that gives us 4,120 at the start of the second year. And the point of compound interest is that when we come to calculate the interest for the second year, we work it out on this new total of 4,120, because that's the amount at the start of the first year. So we gained 3%, not just of the 4,000, but of the whole £4,120. So it's just 3 over 100 times 4,120, and that means that in the second year we earn interest of £123.60, £123.60. Then we do the same again. The amount that we've got in the bank after the second year is just going to be obtained by adding to what we had at the start, 4,120, plus the new interest, 123.60, giving a new total of 4,243.60. And then again, calculation of the interest for the third year is now a calculation for the interest over this whole figure here. So it's 3% of 4,243.60, which again is 3 over 100, or 0.03, times 4,243.6, which gives us interest in the third year of £127.31. And then the amount we have at the end of the 3 years is just going to be the total of 4,243.60 plus 127.31, which is going to be £4,370.91. So that's the total amount we've got at the end. So going back to the question, we have to calculate the total amount of interest. So we just obtain that by saying, well, there's our figure at the end, minus 4,000 we started with, to give us an interest of £370.91. £370.91. Now, that was the step-by-step method. There is a shorter method of doing this, and that shorter method, method 2, is the multiplier method. And how this works is, we've got our 3% interest that we're getting paid each year, and we look at this like this. But initially we have 100% of our principal, and we're growing that by 3%, so we go to 103%. So that means a multiplier, if I can get this to open up, a multiplier of 103 over 100. We've gone to 103 from 100, which gives us a multiplier of 1.03. So the first thing you have to do in the multiplier method is obtain the multiplier. And if it's an interest, an appreciation, a growth, that multiplier is going to be 1 point whatever percent you've grown by. So if we've got a problem again, £4,000 at 3% for 3 years, the first year we're going to have 4,000 times 1.03. That'll be the total amount we've got at the end of the first year. It will be that amount that we then increase for the second year. So we multiply this whole amount that we had at the end of the first year by 1.03, because again we're growing that amount by 3%. And then again for the third year we grow what we have at the end of the second year, which is this whole figure here, by 1.03. So we end up multiplying 4,000 by 1.03 cubed. 1.03 times 1.03 times 1.03. So when we use the multiplier method and the interest rate's the same, we get this formula whereby it's just the principal times the multiplier raised to a power which is equal to the number of years over which we're paying the interest. So in this case, of course, we get the same answer. At the end, we're going to have 4,370.91. This gives you the whole amount, this multiplier method. Again, to work out the interest, you would take off the 4,000. Now, just to finish this section, let's look at another concept. This time, we're not growing the amount is getting less. So this is the idea of depreciation. So, for instance, we have a car that costs £12,500. It depreciates by 30% in year 1, 20% in year 2, and 10% in year 3. What is its value after 3 years?